This is Sheriff Spotlight with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, highlighting the office and deputies dedicated to providing law enforcement services and maintaining the trust and support of Rockingham County citizens, all while keeping neighborhoods and communities safe.
Thanks for joining us again for Sheriff Spotlight for our July 2022 edition. I'm your host for today's show, Lieutenant Kevin Southard, Public Information Officer for the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office, and with me today is Sheriff Sam Page.
Glad to be back. Just got back from the North Carolina Sheriff's Association. This year is the 100th anniversary of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association. So, if you support the North Carolina Sheriff's Association, we appreciate you doing so. You work and it helps support sheriffs all across North Carolina to make sure we professionalize the training and all the other initiatives we're working on to make sure that we protect and serve our citizens across this great state.
And so, trivia question, how many sheriffs are there in North Carolina?
There are 100.
There are 100?
There are 100. I don't know exactly. We have several sheriffs that are retiring, but currently we have 100 sheriffs, sworn sheriffs, that are serving the citizens across North Carolina.
Okay, that's cool. And we have 100 counties in Rockingham. There's one per county.
That's right.
Okay, so I know that you guys get together once a year to talk about, brainstorm ideas, new ideas, and kind of network on problems that you're all seeing in your various agencies and so on and so forth, and that you face as agency heads. Were there any, in new technologies, they showcased new technologies and stuff, was there anything really cool that stands out?
More so this time, it was more conversation on the legislative process, some of the new laws into effect. One thing that came about is currently, if I want to hire a deputy, or I want to hire a detention officer, or we want to hire a telecommunicator, that starting July 1 of next year, they have to be certified before they can perform those duties. For many, many, many years, you could actually hire a deputy, and you have 1 year to have that deputy certified through the state certification process under BLET, but that person could be basically in training for a year and go to work.
As long as you got them through the necessary
field training,
field training and stuff.
And it's the same thing with the detention officers. And last year was a big push on law enforcement reform and to continue to professionalize. And this was brought up. This was probably brought up 2 years ago. And so it's a direction that the Sheriff's Training and Standards was looking at. And so effective July 1 of next year, that if you want to work in law enforcement, you can be hired. But you have to be like a shadow. You can't perform the duties. Can't perform the duties. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
And that will require certification. So it's interesting. A lot of your smaller sheriff's offices, that when we lose staffing and stuff like this, trying to get that staffing filled with qualified, certified people, it's going to be tough. It's going to be change. But the thing is, but that's the direction we're going to move in. Now, there was also a push to communicate with the presidents of every community college across North Carolina to encourage them to run these BLET classes as often as they can, and also to run the detention officer classes. For example, surrounding us is 5 counties, and if they have a community college, if every other month they're running a class, then there should be no reason why you shouldn't be able to get your person there, even if they have to drive to Forsyth or Alamance County, they still can get certified.
Right, you get them certified pretty quick after hiring them. All right, well that's good news. You guys, I know, have to deal with a lot, and that being said, like I said, was there any cool technologies or anything up there? I know that they usually have a lot of
they had about 50 vendors because of the space that we're at, because they only had so much space for the vendors. Most of the technology that I deal with just a little bit are your software companies and stuff like this. Now, Timmy Nichols and Derek Southern, who are IT people for the county, I refer them so they can communicate, but they're more the IT persons and talk about our software programs that we utilize that will help us to enhance what we do in our records keeping and management. So that was pretty interesting. They did have the persons from Axum, which deal with the tasers, which deal with the body cameras, which I'm always interested in seeing how the body camera technology is working.
It's evolved so much in the past few years.
Well, the new camera systems we use now, of course, is a lot of it loads to the cloud, storage, and storage is a big expense issue.
Yeah.
But these cameras we have now, because we're like 2.5 years into our contract, but these new cameras have a wider angle, and also my understanding is they have a better audio reception. So, but the better the technology, the better the camera system, the better the audio system you have, the better you can document things that occur when you're out there in the field.
Absolutely.
And that's total. And the body cameras, the whole issue behind body cameras was to make sure that we protect the public, and we protect the agency, and we give
Protect the officers.
and the officers, and the deputies, and give a representation of basically what has happened out in the field.
Exactly.
Now here's something interesting, and I don't know if I told you this last time I found out about this, but I made some more inquiries. But on the new camera technology, and Roy, you're gonna love it. If, say for example, you're a deputy or a police officer, and you have to use force, you have to pull your taser or you have to pull your firearm out. So when you do, it's got an electronic trigger that basically cuts your camera system on. Now,
automatically?
It will also, when you're downloading, the download receiver will let you know that there were other cameras there. So it shows up on the program when on the documentation. But also, if one of my deputies, we don't have that type system that initiates once you pull your weapon or your taser, but if we're there on scene, it will capture your camera and cut yours on also. So it's going to take out a lot of this, I forgot, or why wasn't it cut on? Well, it will be an automatic when the use of force issues, because when the weapons or tasers are utilized, the cameras will come on. Any other time, you have to tap it to cut it on. But I think it's a pretty innovative way to document activity, particularly when use of force issues arise.
Okay. Let's move on to our next topic, which is we've been getting a lot of reports of new scams going on in the area. The most recent, someone claiming to be
you and I talked the other day about this.
Deputy with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office.
Jury duty.
The jury duty scam. What they do there.
Tell them what they go ahead and tell them.
What they do there is they tell the person that they've missed jury duty. They're a deputy such and such with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. That they're calling because they've missed jury duty, and there's a fine associated with that. However much money they decide to come up with, then they try to talk you into going and buying a gift card.
Gift card at one of the stores.
One of the stores, yes. Usually one of the more popular gift cards, Amazon, eBay, one of those kind of.
And what do you do? What do they want you to do with that?
They want you to call them back and give them the number off of the back of it,
and
so they can transfer.
Say for example, you got scammed, and you bought a card for $500, and you give them the numbers off the back. What happens then?
No, they transfer the balance off of the card immediately.
Like that.
Exactly.
And so it's a quick scam.
But they do that now because they used to have you go to Western Union and wire them money. But there was a lot of lawsuits brought against Western Union, and Western Union now trains their employees about how to look out for scams and stuff like that. So now a Western Union person will ask you, what are you getting these monies for, or why are you wiring these monies here
purpose.
for? Yeah. But who's ever asked you why you were buying a gift card at any store? Nobody does. And so that's their new way to get the money
unless
from
you're buying about 100 gift cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But so that's the newest one. We don't do business like that, obviously. We're not going to, tell you pay us money or we're going to lock you up or anything like that. If, say, you owed $400 on a speeding ticket and we have to arrest you and you've got $400 in your pocket, you're going to have that $400 in your pocket when you get out of jail. And then you can go over here to the clerk's office and pay off your ticket. We don't accept the money. That's not the way things work with that.
Well, so basically, if we have a paper that authorizes us a warrant or an order for arrest, we will come to your house.
Exactly.
We will be in uniform. We won't call you and tell you we're coming.
And we're not going to give you an ultimatum.
Right.
Or that's just not the way that it works.
We never receive any monies or anything. Cannot take any monies in exchange for. That is a scam. But again, like I said, it comes around about every year. So you had that scam. Now there's another scam you've heard where it's like a grandparent. I'm your grandchild. I've been locked up, and I'm either in a foreign country or I'm in another state far away, and I need money. And a lot of times people appeal to grandparents and our seniors and take advantage of them. So
they're more trusting.
Yeah.
You know.
So just be aware that there are scams out there, and there's a scam every day.
Social Security scam's pretty popular right now, and what they'll do with that is they'll call you and tell you that they're they're with the Social Security Administration, and that they have detected fraudulent activity connected to your Social Security number, and that they have suspended your Social Security number. Well, that's not the way that works. Social Security number is kind of like a serial number that the government assigns to you at birth. It's not like a credit card where it can be canceled. But what the first thing they're going to want you to do is, what's your name, Social Security, they got to verify you. So what's your name, Social Security number, date of birth, address, everything that they need basically to get credit in your name sent to them. So that's the scam with that. Don't ever give out any of your information over the phone. The same thing is going on now with various banks. They'll call you and they're just basically playing the odds. Say we'll pick one, Wells Fargo Bank. They'll say that they're with Wells Fargo, hoping you've got an account there. And they'll say there's been fraudulent activity. I need for you to give me your name and your bank account, and I need to verify who I'm talking to.
Well, most people
and
won't.
As soon as they do, then.
Well, most people won't follow up because of embarrassment. And a lot of times they don't tell anybody till later.
Right.
And then by, like I said, once they give, just like the cards, once they give a person a gift card, numbers, it's done. Now, if your credit cards are stolen, something like this, if you report it, it's only a certain limited amount of liability. Was it like $50?
Yeah.
Once you report it, you do need to do a police report. That if you ever have your identification or your credit cards stolen, please notify your local law enforcement agency right away, and then notify your credit card company so they can shut those cards off, because there's just a limited liability there.
And when people start calling me about these scams, letting me know, because I like to let the public know, so we hope that nobody falls victim to them. But I'm asked the question a lot of times, Lieutenant, why can't you do anything to stop these? And that's because the vast majority are coming from overseas. I know that it looks like a local number when you pick up the telephone. The first hurdle that the scammers have to get past is to get you to pick up the phone. So basically, it's a big deal overseas now. They've got a lot of money in it. They've got computers that are running generated numbers that make it look local area codes.
Yeah, how many times you get a number? I had one time that I had my own number call me.
Yes, I've had that happen before. They call it spoofing the telephone number, spoofing the caller ID. So most of it's coming from overseas.
Wait till you get to the Social Security age and stuff like this. Medicare age.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll get the calls. Well, look, let me throw something else at you. Another problem we've seen over the past couple months is cars not being locked at places such as like your walking trails around the county. We've got some reports of persons going into cars and taking valuable items. If you are going to any of these walking trail areas, or even the shopping centers or whatever, or any other place around town, lock your doors. When you get home at night and you park your car, if you don't park in a garage and shut your doors, if you just park it in the driveway, what should you do?
Lock your doors.
Because most times, our criminal types, they're riding through neighborhoods looking, and they're just taking a chance that it might be something of value.
Criminals are lazy. That's why they're criminals. They
will seek the path of least resistance.
Least resistance, exactly right. And so they'll get out and they'll sneak up to your car and they'll pull the car door latch. And if a car door didn't come open, then they're going to move on to the next car and then the next car. And so locking your car door is the simplest thing that you can do as a crime prevention technique to keep people from going through your cars.
Well, let me jump on something here. It's bothering me. It's dealing with illegal drugs. This week I was at the Sheriff's Association, and Josh Stein, who's our Attorney General, was there, and he was talking about the prescription medication where the Attorney Generals across the country have sued the pharmaceutical companies for millions of dollars, and there will be some payouts from that. From the addiction issue that was created by these prescription opioid meds, okay? But what was not discussed, was concerning me, was the fentanyl and the heroin, the two primary drugs that are taking lives every day across Rockingham County and across the state, across this nation. In May, 1st of May, I was in Arizona, Cochise County, Arizona. And you remember when I did the video and I was beside the fence area and I pointed and said, this is where you have to stop it. We can't wait until the fentanyl and the heroin gets to Rockingham County to stop it, it spreads out. We've got to stop it at its source. Okay, and last year, I repeat the numbers: 108,000 people, my understanding, died due to overdoses of heroin and fentanyl last year. 108,000 people.
That's about one every 5 minutes.
If you listen to radio like I do, and you do, at night I listen to radio. During the daytime, I listen to radio, and I hear, go to this call in whatever area of the county it is, for possible overdose. And then I listen to this: did we get there in time? Did we Narcan the person in time? Were we able to save the person's life? And most times we can. Most times our first responders, our volunteer firefighters, our paramedics, our law enforcement get there in the nick of time, but not always. And then when that person dies, that person is somebody's family. And it bothers me. It bothers me today. And there's got to be emphasis on stopping the flow of the illegal drugs coming into our country from Mexico. And we've got to encourage, and I'll tell you, you've listened to this broadcast today, contact your congressman. Congress has the opportunity to support the efforts to secure our borders and hold people accountable for that. If we don't do that, how many more people will die in this county, this state, this nation, this year because of the illegal drugs? Last week, we seized enough fentanyl to take out, 100 and how many people?
139,000
Based on the DEA figures, about 139,000 people. Now, there are only 90
seized from one house.
Yeah, there are only 90 seized from one house, one location. There are only 92,000 people in Rockingham County, but it could have taken out the whole population of Rockingham County and probably Caswell. The thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, is illegal drugs are serious. They're taking lives. There's things can be done. Not only do we have to work on stopping the flow of drugs into our country and where it's coming from, and putting it back on the cartel and going after these persons, okay, and building a real relationship with Mexico to do something. But also we got to help people with addiction. In this county, trying to reduce the harm, we've got people that have addiction and they either don't know about the services, the families don't know about the services, they may not want the services, okay, because addiction takes over you. It's a chemical reaction to your brain, and it takes over your body and the way you think. But there are a lot of people that need help. So if we're going to ever combat this problem, we've got to do this. We got to. It's a supply and demand. We got to stop it. We got to stop the supply, and we got to reduce the demand. If we can do those things in our lifetime, we should be able to get a handle on this. But we have got to get serious at the local, state, and federal level. I will say in Rockingham County, we have our opioid task force. We meet regular. We communicate regular about different things we can do and services provided to try to help people with addiction. We're working in the jail side with persons with addiction. There was a big conversation about medical assistant treatment in the jails. There are grants. I'm going to talk to you about that later. There are grants that are available to help to do that with people with addiction to try to get them back on track. Okay. But we got to get serious about it. Time to talking is over. We've got to get serious about it. I don't have to go to the border next month to say, hey, this is where it's coming from.
Well, the jail is not, and you've said this several times, the jail is not the place to treat addiction.
No.
That's not where you treat addiction.
If you're going to treat people with mental illness and you're going to treat people with addiction, you got to treat them out. You got to treat them out of jail. But when we're in the jail, if we have the resources to get them on that track, that's what we want to do.
Right.
So that's some stuff that's will be coming down the road here. And so I appreciate everybody's help. I appreciate every family out there that's having to deal with persons with addictions and trying to work through this, because it's tough. It's tough on the family members, and eventually, if you don't do something, somebody else will die.
Exactly.
It's real.
Exactly. You have to take it seriously. Let's talk, you brought up some grant funding. I actually had some numbers here on the grant funding that we've received over the past year here for various projects. And I'm pretty proud of this, so let's talk about it right quick here. We have applied for and received a $25,000 grant for the Internet Crimes Against Children.
And that was from the Governor's Crime Commission.
Detective, yes, and that will go for equipment to fight Internet crimes against children.
People are trying to attach to children on the internet.
Children.
They're using the internet to facilitate their ability to commit a crime. Yes.
We've received an $85,000 grant for COVID medication in the local jail here.
Okay.
And that's for obviously, things that would combat
equipment, supplies,
yeah,
anything to help reduce COVID in a jail setting.
We received $85,000 to put AEDs in each of the patrol cars.
Automatic
defibrillators.
Defibrillators.
Yeah.
We put those in 40 of our cars. We also bought stop sticks for every one of the cars, the 40 cars. But the key thing is it's the AED system. We go on so many cardiac calls working with our paramedics, and a lot of times people that are using drugs, they go into cardiac.
Yeah, exactly.
Situations.
And these machines are kind of, for lack of a better term, idiot-proof. It'll tell you exactly what to do. It talks you through. The machine talks you through how to use it.
I'll tell you why I know how simple it is because I just went through CPR certification and AED system.
Right.
So I'm up on the current. I know how to use it. We're using Narcan. For persons with suspected addiction that's overdose, and also we have the AED systems. We're supposed to be putting a decal on board on the back side of the cars that say AED on board to let any other first responders know that we have an AED system on board because they can save lives.
Oh yeah. The technology is just amazing. Oh, yeah. It is.
So we got that. We got to go. Now it's an $85,000 grant from the legislature. We also got a grant for $24,500, and we purchased the FLIR night vision devices, handheld night vision devices.
I understand they used one last night.
Last night I was talking last night about 2 in the morning. I was talking to one of my lieutenants, and I said, "You got FLIR?" He said, "Yeah, we got it. We're on board." They found a guy.
Out in the woods.
Handheld FLIR.
In the dark.
That's
yeah.
it.
And what that is it's infrared.
It's basically,
for those that don't know, it's infrared.
It reads infrared. It's a camera. It reads heat.
Yeah.
And if you're out there in the woods anywhere, it can use to pick you out pretty quick.
Yep. So that was good. I'm glad to hear that was used successfully. And we got another $25,000 for 10 bulletproof vests for our deputies, 4 gas masks with built-in communication systems for our special response team. That's much needed for them, and 10 Apple iPads for our detectives to help them out as they, in the course of
do their work
exactly
in the field or in the office.
Make their jobs a little bit easier. So we have gotten some grant money this year. We've done pretty well.
And there's more grant money, and we'll talk about it after the show.
That's right. So, there are alternatives available, and we like to do that whenever we can as far as supplementing what we can.
Well, I've told you in the past that, when we seize money from the criminal element under asset forfeiture, we use those monies for training, equipment, and technology. And I think within the past probably 2 years, going back 20 some years, we spent about $1.7 million of seized money over that period of time to pay for equipment, training, and technology that otherwise the taxpayers would have had to pay.
That's bad guy money.
Yeah, bad guy money. So I use the bad guy money to help us. But these grants right here come from the state, and you are my primary grant writer, and you do a great job, and I just like to commend him. He does a great job. And,
well, thank you.
And we appreciate you, and want you to continue writing some of these grants. But now we do have some recent retirees. We will be doing some processes. We'll be doing some ceremonies for our promotional ceremonies. And also we'll be recognizing our retirees at the county commission meetings coming up. But Captain Mark Kennan with the Detective Division, Mark was with us for several years, and Mark just recently retired. Lieutenant Tim Newman with the Patrol Division, and Tim worked with our community policing effort. When I first came in, he worked in the jail,
right,
and later as a lieutenant on the Patrol Division. Sergeant Shane Woodall, school resource officer. Shane had worked with a school resource officer position most of his career.
Yeah.
And most of it at Michael High School. I know they're going to miss him.
Exactly.
Now we will. I'm going to go ahead and congratulate because this will be out by the time. And then
by the time we do this, we'll have the.
So Roy, you're getting this fresh here.
Yep.
This is Ralph's Press. Captain Gray Smith will be moving to the CID division, investigative division. Captain Shane Bullins will be moving from the jail side to the patrol division. Wendell Brown will be promoted from lieutenant to captain at the detention facility. Tom Quasi will be going up from sergeant to lieutenant with the detention facility. Steve Perkins, has already gone up from sergeant to lieutenant with the patrol division. B.J. Petty, corporal, he'll be going to sergeant, patrol division. Peyton Smith will be going up to the sergeant with the detective division. And Matt Moore will be promoted to sergeant with the school resource officers. And that's another thing. We're hoping this year, and I've asked the commissioners, and I think everybody's pretty much follow this, is I'd like to see a school resource officer in every school. That is the best way to protect our kids, our children, and make those schools safe. put that officer, put that car out there and let people know if you're a bad guy and you have the idea
Great deterrent.
Yeah, you first of all, you're going to realize is you got an armed officer you got to deal with, and he's going to protect our children and our teachers.
I know you've been talking to the school board as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and also in August, we'll be meeting with the school safety representatives, and we'll be doing our training and educational piece for all the sheriffs, chiefs, and all the persons, SROs that tie in with school safety and the personnel and the principals. Right. So we've got to the parents out here, there's a great relationship between law enforcement and our school system and working with our principals and our superintendent, and we look forward to continue doing good and continue to improving on the safety of our schools.
Absolutely. Before we end the show, I would like to say, remind everybody that we have the Fans for the Elderly program going on. That's where you can donate a fan or however many you want to. They've got to be new in a box. And we give those to our seniors who are in need, don't necessarily have air conditioning or the ways to pay for, the income to pay for air conditioning. So we give out those fans through the Adult Protective Services Department of the Department of Social Services. I will say that we have done well.
But we have more demand than we have fans.
Usually as quick as they're coming in, they're going out.
So what are you saying today is if you've got a new UL approved fan and you'd like to donate it for Fans for the Elderly program, come by the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. We're open 24/7.
Exactly.
We don't ever close.
And if you can't get down here, if you'll call, we'll make arrangements for the deputy working in your area.
Call the non-emergency number, 336-634-3232, Rockingham County Sheriff's Office. If you'll call that number, if you can't get it over here, you call us, we'll pick them up.
A lot of the stores around here too, they've been great. People or groups have been going in and they'll buy a certain number of fans and they'll just call us and let us know, and we'll have a truck go and pick them up there at the store. Now, a lot of times they'll give them a discount because they know what it's for.
We've had private individuals, we've had businesses, our volunteer fire departments, our fire departments,
community watch groups.
We appreciate it. We'll be doing this through August.
Through the end of August.
To the end of August. So if you'd like to help out with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office Fans for the Elderly program, please call us and let us know if you want us to pick it up, your fans, or if you want to come by anytime, 24/7. We're even open after midnight. If you want to come by, just bring it by. Our staff duty officer will take those. And again, we'll make sure that we get those to the DSS, Department of Social Services, so they can get those fans for people that there are citizens that need those, particularly our seniors.
Exactly. And in closing, I want to talk about our community watch groups right quick. They are back in full swing.
Kevin, you're in charge of our community watch group?
We kind of had to scale back our meetings because of COVID over the past few years, but we are back in full effect now, meeting regularly. We've got a lot of groups. We've got over 30 groups that meet regularly.
If you're interested in forming a community watch group, who do they contact?
They would contact me. Just call at the Sheriff's Office, that number 336-634-3232. It is the best way to deter crime in your neighborhood, in your area. And what we ask you to do is essentially be an extra set of eyes and ears for us so that we can preempt crime before it occurs and be proactive instead of reactive after a crime occurs. So,
two things before we go. Lock your doors, even at your house at night.
Just get into that habit.
At night or during the daytime. Lock your doors. Get your valuables out of your car. And also, check on our senior citizens. If you've got a family member or a relative that's a senior, please give them a call. Every day makes a big difference.
And our pets. Don't forget our four-legged family members.
With the weather we've got going on right now.
It is hot.
Yeah, it is hot. Make sure that they have food, water, and shelter.
Absolutely. Well, again, we thank you for tuning in to our July session of Sheriff Spotlight. We hope to see you again next month right here.